Good morning, beautiful. I know it may not be morning where you are, but it's morning for me. It's a Sunday morning and I am freshly showered and danced and feel great. And I was in the shower doing some pondering and I knew what I needed to share. So I'm really excited to talk to y'all today about internal versus external chaos and share some of my stories, and then also the projection fields. I'm kind of wrapping everything together because there's two types of chaos. Let's start with that. There is an internal chaos where we're questioning. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going, or I don't know how to navigate myself. And like all those why questions. Why am I here? What is my purpose? Where am I going? Those are all internal chaotic things. And then our emotions are internal chaos. All of our intuitions and feelings, until we really have a good handle on how we function, it's going to be like a lot. And then there's external chaos. And external chaos is something, a whole different ballgame. It's the relationships you have with other people. It's how you give and receive. It's the energy and the auras that you share. Like, there's a lot that can happen in external chaos because you really can only control you. And how you navigate you is how everything in life shows up and responds to you. And so it's truly karma, it's do unto others, it's what you put out comes back. It's all those philosophies mean the same thing. It's what goes around comes around. And how we navigate life by like our design, this is where human design is so helpful because it answers all of the questions of who are you, why are you here? And there's so much trauma around all of that because we've all been conditioned by the planet to be more, be less. We're too loud, we're too quiet, we're too much, we're not enough. Like all these things that have been told to us is all of this really ugly conditioning. And it just leaves you not knowing. For me, it was like, I'm too big, I'm too much, I share too much, I'm too open, my emotions are too big. And this led me on an internal journey. And it's been fascinating to me how human design has actually described this because I'm a 6'2", and we go through 3 stages of life. We have this beginning stage that I call fuck around and find out. It's line 3, where there's a lot of adventure and trial and error. And during that phase, you're like mostly error. You're making mistakes, and that means you've got more conditioning, more trauma, more hangups to work through. Because at 30, when we go on the roof, we're not actually removing ourselves from society. Unless, of course, you've got that line 2 also, which I do. And so then it creates this push-pull of you don't want to be around people, you want to go away and hide, and you want to go out. And it's this weird push-pull that happens on the roof. And really, as I've come to terms with this, that on the roof phase is the internal journey. It's learning how to manage and understand and decipher all of the internal things. And then at 50, they kind of come together where it's like you've got a good handle on your insides and your outsides are now showing the result of that. And then it all comes together in this nice, neat little package. But what happens if you're not 50? Like, I'm 46. I don't have that. And I knew that the journey was important, that where I am today, I can't just time warp to being older, that the journey, the steps that I take are really important. And so I've been on this journey for a long time of understanding my internal and my external. And that, because of the severity of my trauma, that happened for me very, very early. Because I couldn't figure out, like, why, if this was my design, why did I go public with my story of being a trafficking survivor when I was 30, when I'm supposed to be going on the roof? I was actually called out and brought lifted up. And so I've lived very vulnerably online, because it's very weird being famous for like the worst parts of your life. I've been lived very publicly for 16 years. And I'm like, why? That's such a weird, quirky part of my life and my story. And it literally is my design. And so it seems like a lot, especially as I'm coming to terms and the guilt and shame are being released for me around this. It's just the fascinating journey that it's like, I literally cannot not live my design. Like, I know that's a double negative, but I cannot change me. Like, there's these aspects of me, and that is my design, that is, when you see the patterns, you're like, oh my goodness, do I have any free will? Have I had any choices in this? And yeah, I've had a ton, and that's that I've chosen better choices. I want better relationships. I want better life and vitality. I want to feel deep, and I do all these things. It's not just an out there want. It's been a lifetime want that has led me to those depths that I love. Like, I love that journey. And so here's where it gets really messy, is that external journey that I didn't realize, like 5 years ago was when I left Reed for the first time. And the first big time, we had a short, like 3-day separation, back in 2007. But for the first real time, I left, and in 2020, and it was such an undoing. And that was when human design came to me. And I was like, okay, I need to go. Like, I went very intensely on this human design journey, but I didn't like it at first. Like, I spent the first year really just experimenting and trying to recognize the patterns in my life. But then the information on human design in the world is either very scientific, like it's very mechanical. And for me, things don't, if I don't get results, I don't want to do it. So I needed it to be functional. And that's why we have the community, Functional Human Design. And I've also been a parent. I have 5 kids. My youngest is 14. My oldest is 24, and just had my first grandbaby. So it's like I've got these 5 kids, and we are all wildly different. And so I've raised them really different. We have always unschooled. My 20-year-old went to half of kindergarten in a private school, and I was like, I can do better than this. Like, this is awful. It does not work for the kind of quirky we are, and we were just being forced into boxes. Yeah, another 6'2" thing. And so I've lived differently. I started teaching my kids marketing and branding. The moment they could talk, we would play games in the car, but then it wasn't till later in life that they actually learned to read and do math. Like, that came later because there was this relational and energetics dynamics that were the most important things. And at one point, our youngest son was paralyzed about 10 years ago. He has Lyme disease, cat scratch fever, and Rocky Mountain spotted fever. And we had a CPS case, and it was probably one of the most terrifying things I've ever experienced. Because I was like, not only was our son just paralyzed, now we're looking at losing all of our kids. And I was like, that is not going to happen. We're just going to be honest. And in that honesty, we never lost the kids for a moment. We did some testing, and I was like, it's just like a video game, just play it. And they were all at or above grade level. And it released so much shame in me. Because prior I'd felt like I was hiding, raising my kids the way I did. And then so that released a ton of shame. But then as they've gotten older, I've realized that they're really just prepared for a world that doesn't exist yet. You know how, like, it seems like a lot of people in the world are like, oh, things need to be different. Things need to be different. Like, the systems aren't functioning the way they should be. And that's a problem. And so we raised our kids in a way that they were open and learning differently. And because of that, they're remarkable people. And as I learned human design, I taught them human design. And it's just made it a different thing because it's way more functional, it's easier, but yet it's totally based on all the books and the research and that's it, trial and error. So it has literally been 7 days. Reed moved out 7 days ago, and it has been the strangest journey from him, me leaving him the first time, to understanding human design, being able to understand what shadows are, and then integrating all of my research on trauma, because trauma and business have been my primary niches, like healing trauma, that kind of thing, and then systems in business. And so those two things have been my primary sex and money, life, passions, and because that's where most of our trauma lies, is in those two things. I just went heavy into research again, neurodiversity and mental disorders, and then looking at the overlay with human design and like, where do these fit, and looking at the gift and shadow spectrum, and simultaneously teaching my kids everything I know, because that's a lot of information. And how I decided to educate them was just teach them everything I know, all the openness, objectively, and allow them to make their own decisions. Because of that, they have been my greatest coaches, my most, in my family. I'm a manifesting generator, 6'2", emotional manifesting generator. Then my ex, Reed, is either a 2-5 or a 3-5. You can't even really tell because his time of birth is off a lot. And he's definitely a manifester. And it has been so profound seeing how our charts come together. So I had a manifesting generator before we got married. And then together we had a projector, a very undefined projector, and then a generator, and then a manifester, and then another projector. And so we have all this variety in our household, and the different auras, or, the different types, manifester, generator, those things, they're so profoundly different how we feel and interact with people. And had I not had all the types except reflectors in my household, I wouldn't have seen it as clearly. And that is such a 6-line thing because I live on trial and error. Like we're not as resilient as 3 lines, being a 6, but this trial and error is so profound because it's how we learn and grow. We experiment. And then we share the story. That's what being a role model is. We don't have our shit together. We just share our shit publicly. And just understanding that has removed so much shame in my life. Like so much shame is that it's not about having my shit together. It's about just sharing the journey and helping people understand the inner journey, the outer journey, and then finding ourselves and then how we respond to other people. And that's like huge. Like that's all of life. That's enormous. And yet that's what I've done with my kids. That's what my mom did with me. It's part of, I'm actually a generational nougat of awesomeness because I'm not the first one in my bloodline to be breaking generational cycles. My mom was in this too. And that is just so freaking cool. Oh, so where was I going with all this? Oh, in the last week. So last week and for the last 5 years, this is actually my 3rd business. Part of the obstacle I've had with Reed is that he likes to be front and center. And so when I try to remove myself from him, he would cause chaos with the kids. He would cause chaos with business. Like there was a lot of weird shit that went on. And as I just trialed and errored my way through, how do I gain sovereignty? How do I find my freedom? How do I know more of who I am? And how do I help my kids also embody who they are? I learned through trial and error that putting him front and center was the only way for him to not mess with me or not mess with the family. And so that's what functional human design was all of us, we started as a family. We all made the decision together to create functional human design, hoping that Reed would make good choices, would make better choices, that he would learn to live just within his strategy and authority, and just like be willing to start the journey. And we made it about 3 weeks in, 2 weeks in, and things started to spiral. And I could feel it, and the kids felt it. They pulled back, and it felt so ugly because I knew what I had to do. And it was build quickly and big enough that it would be sustainable, that the kids and I would have a foundation, because at some point he would have to go and go quick if he didn't turn it around. Like, he had chances all the way to the very last day, which was a week ago. And he was not switching to just informing, just telling us what's going on, telling us like what he's doing or feeling. That was all we wanted. And he just would not do it. And so last week, with financial pressure like crazy, I individually talked to the kids, and they were all like, yeah, it's time. And I talked to him in the morning. By evening, I was like, it's time for you to go. And it doesn't matter where you go, your energy is influencing us so intensely that you just need to go be somewhere else and let us handle this. And we'll take responsibility for the finances. We'll take responsibility for all the things, and really just trust in faith that life is going to be different. So we asked him to leave, and he did. And it was so strange because there wasn't any like big emotions in the moment. Like, there were no tears. It was just like he packed his stuff and left. And then the kids and I have been going through this process since then, where it's like safety. When you first feel safety, even though things aren't okay, like financially, we're still working those details out, and the universe is still working those details out. Everything comes in perfect timing, and it has been perfect timing all the way through. Like, it's been so freaking amazing. But so the girls got sick. One of them, like, really sick, way more sick than she normally gets, just like a flu rather than a cold. The sore throat thing, and that was icky. And then our youngest, who has Lyme disease, the one who was paralyzed, is having his first flare-up in 5 years, and it's very mild in comparison to what we've already been through, but he's got one finger that is just swollen and huge, and we're wrapping it, we're doing all the things, like, we saved his life. So I know how to handle it, and I know what we need, and really, it's just about this stability right now. The kids are also getting their bot, also the Vita bot, which has been so revolutionary for me for understanding my design. And so my whole family, all my kids, not all of them, my daughter's still, she just had a baby, but all the ones in my household are finding this internal level of awesome. And it's so amazing to see all of us releasing the old. Yeah. Oh, and then gosh, my body has been freaking out too, because I had an outbreak, and I've had like 3 in the last decade. And if you know, you know. And then I have got a hemorrhoid that's flaring, like all of this stuff. So it's like we're simultaneously slowing down, living by faith, doing the things while being public, and trying to just exist without all the emotional waves that are like internal. We play this game where it's red light and green light. Whenever you have red emotions, you just go be by yourself and realign. When you feel green light, that's when you create things and do things. I've been doing it for many, many, many years. And so it's a lot easier for me to go through my waves, but then also helping the kids go through their waves. And then we have one who has no emote, like he's undefined in the solar plexus. So he's absorbing all of our waves and learning him. He's grown so much. They've all grown so much. I'm so freaking proud of the kids, because it's like, even though it's getting darker before the dawn, we always know, we know that the dawn is coming and it's here. And that's what helps us gain that internal regulation, and then to be able to work together. Man, it has been one hell of a week. And yet it feels so good. Like I'm rested, I've slept, I went to Phoenix this week on top of everyone being sick, and just like every one of us are handling ourselves so well, riding the waves and growing, and it is just freaking amazing. So that's really it. I I just was feeling the urge and was like, I need to get all of this out, and I feel good. I feel satisfied. That's what I feel. It's like I feel really satisfied that the kids and I have made it through the external chaos, and it based on our internal alignment. And it's like the details of money and stuff that just so gets worked out. Like even we paid over $3,000 worth of bills in the last week on our own, and we need another like $5,000. And I'm like, a week ago we needed 20,000. So it's like the miracles just keep happening, and the awesomeness is just there. And I'm rooting for y'all. Like, this is not an easy journey, but human design is the science of differentiation. It allows us to see the different, the uniqueness, the quirkiness of each one of us, and stand in our confidence, remove the guilt and shame, the hurt, and just be like, nah, this is who I am. And I'm beautiful, and everything I've done, all the work I've done in my life, it matters. All of it matters. And I am who I am, and I love who I am. And like, I have that crazy undefined G center and root. And that means identity has always shifted. And I love those parts of me too. So that's, oh, the cat's trying to get in. I love you guys tons. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.